SMR is a state marine reserve. It is a non-terrestrial marine or estuarine area that is designated so the managing agency may protect and restore rare, threatened, or endangered native plants, animals, or habitats in marine areas. Protect or restore outstanding, representative, or imperiled marine species, communities, habitats, and ecosystems. This is an SMR, State Marine Reserve. SMR uses. It is unlawful to injure, damage, take, or possess any living, geological, or cultural marine resource except under a permit or specific authorization from the managing agency for research, restoration, or monitoring purposes. While, to the extent feasible, the area shall be open to the public for managed enjoyment and study. The area shall be maintained to the extent practicable in an undisturbed and unpolluted state. Therefore, access and use, such as walking, swimming, boating, and diving, may be restricted to protect marine resources. Okay, undisturbed and unpolluted state. Remember, you can't catch calico bass here because you're a bad guy. I can drop my anchor in there and dig the kelp out. Kelp is not only habitat, it's also a living marine resource. It says it is unlawful to injure, damage, take, or possess any living or cultural marine resource. So, you are destroying the habitat, violating the law. You go in there diving on scuba and you take a camera and you hit the button and you flash photography of fish. Fish has no eyelids. You are blinding the fish momentarily, just like it does you. Would that or would that not constitute an undisturbed situation? Would you be violating that part of the law? Absolutely. If you swim up to a halibut laying on the bottom and he runs off, would you not have disturbed it? Alright? SMUs should have very little interaction in them. But you got to remember, we're not allowed to go in here. But the Monterey Bay Aquarium with Mike Sutton, they can go in here and run a trawl net through.
Why would they do that?
To drag stuff off the bottom, to collect it, to study it. Okay, they can also put fish traps down. And they can catch sheephead and rockfish and lobster. So they can take it home and put it in the aquarium for us to go look at. So they can go in there and do this. And their boat might leak fuel. Or oil or whatever it is. Or they'll be pooping off the side of the boat or whatever it is they're going to be doing. You know, you kick on the macerator pump and clean that thing out. And so they can do that. But you and I can't fish for calicos there because bad level of protection. We don't offer it. In other words, no fishing at all ever. State marine reserves allow maximum habitat protection, and they are the backbone reserves in the MLPA network. They get the maximum points. They protect the most species the best. That by design. Okay, a state marine park. Oh, by the way, SMRs are red on all the maps. When you see the maps, red is dead. Red's dead. Okay. State marine parks is the yellow fellow. Makes you sick, but it's all right. State Marine Park is a non-terrestrial marine or estuarine area that is designated so the managing agency may provide opportunities for spiritual, scientific, educational, and recreational opportunities.
Do they really put spiritual in there?
Yes. Yes, they did. So you can get high and swim around there or look at the kelp and trip out on acid or mushrooms or whatever it is you're doing. That's right. State Marine Park uses. It is unlawful to injure, damage, take, or possess any living or non-living marine resource for commercial exploitation purposes. No commercial fishing in areas that are yellow, state marine parks. Current, okay? Any human use that would compromise protection of species of interest, natural community or habitat, or geological, cultural, or recreational features may be restricted by the designating entity or managing agency. Fishing is okay. No taking of invertebrates, no commercial take is allowed. Currently, Laguna Beach has many state marine parks. Okay?
So you can fish but don't drop the anchor?
Technically, yeah. You can fish but you can't take mussels. You can catch a lobster, but you can't take an urchin. You can take a lobster, but you can't get an eel. You can't take an octopus. There are certain reef species, and they're basically aimed at tide pool protection and inshore protections and Laguna Beach is full.
Yeah.
You know, and the thing is the rules on each one are very different. So each state marine park that you go to will have an allowed list of fin fish you can take. Anything that's not on the list is not allowed. So we go in there and we dive, and either we have to traverse and go through it to go get this or that or the other thing on the outside, or we can't take it while we're in that area or whatever.
What happens when you go to the outside, capture what you can take on the outside, and then swim back through the closed zone in possession of the lobster? officer down in your game bag.
Theoretically, if your gear is all stowed, you should be okay as long as you were outside.
On board a boat. But what if
On
you're
the boat, If
slamming?
you're on the beach, they can and will and have written tickets for people having species that are not on the selected take list. So, state marine parks very likely do not meet science advisory team guidelines for habitat protection for the MLPA network due to level of protection for take. If you allow taking sculpins, they're a benthic species, they're a reef-related species. So, if you allow that, then the level of protection is below moderate high. Anything moderate high, or very high gets habitat protection. Anything from moderate low to low does not get habitat protection. So depending on which uses you allow, that's how the ruling comes about.
Okay.
And the ruling also has to do with the types of take, like catch and release and stuff. It has to do with that. Okay. State marine conservation areas, an SMCA, is blue when you look at the map. Okay, the first one is red, red's dead, and the state marine park is the yellow fellow. And this one is blue because they allow somebody in there and you got the blues because it's probably not you. Okay, state marine conservation area is a non-terrestrial marine or estuarine area that is designated so the managing agency may protect or restore rare, threatened, or endangered native plants, animals, or habitats in marine areas, protect or restore outstanding, representative, or imperiled marine species, communities, habitats, and ecosystems, provide for a sustainable living marine resource harvest. They will have laws set for every area that's blue of what is allowed to be taken. Only areas that have a moderate high or high level of protection in the blue will get the habitat protection. So if you allow too much take out of it, you'll go to the moderate level of protection or moderate low. The second you do that, it goes off the habitat chart. So you can have a great big blue area, and if you allow them to catch reef fish out of it, you allow sculpin, you allow calico bass out of that area, the level of protection goes low, you don't get habitat protection. So after that, all it is punitive damage to people who aren't allowed there. State marine conservation areas, they can allow a certain high volume commercial take that's not reef related, like anchovy and sardine bait fishing. They can do it outside the kelp. They don't have to do any damage to the inshore intertidal species, and they're catching pelagic bait fish, pelagic squid come up at night, they're gone the next day. Anchovy and sardine, the same kind of thing. So in some of these they will be allowed to do that. Some of these they will not. It all depends on how it's designed and how the law is written for each area. So when these blue ones come around, the DFG has stated pretty clearly they don't want the quagmire of rules that they have in Laguna right now for the areas. So all of what's yellow state marine parks in Laguna right now, they want them to become conservation areas, and they want Laguna to adopt one set of rules for any conservation areas that are in Laguna. They want to make it simple so that the agent doesn't have different rules for 3 different parks, which is what they have right now.
Yeah.
The guy's driving on the boat going, well, which one am I writing you a ticket for? And you're going, oh, please, you got to be kidding me. So they want to eliminate that and tidy that up. Okay.